For the past 4 days I've been in the capital of Egypt, Cairo. I'm sure you'll be able to see behind me the pyramids of Giza, and off camera is the Sphinx. But today I'm going to be taking a 1-hour flight from Cairo airport to Sharm el Sheikh airport. I'm then going to be doing a week of diving in the Red Sea. This will be my first time diving outside of the UK, so come along with me. I'm sure we'll see lots of really cool animals, some reefs and some wrecks. My name's Adam and welcome to Nature's Go.
We landed quite late, and the very next day we were ready to do some diving. We were with Camel Dive Club diving off their boat, the Al Mansour. We set sail for the very first time this week and we were heading to our first dive site, Ras Bob. As you can see on screen now, Ras Bob is a fairly shallow dive site, and this was more of a tester dive so that the Camel Dive Club crew could see our abilities and where we were at, as they never met us before. As I said in the intro, I never really dived outside the UK before, so to be greeted by this view of deep, never-ending coral shelf was just incredible. My first initial thoughts was just how different it was to the UK. For a start, I was warm, there was actually fish, and there was coral absolutely everywhere. You're lucky to even see a piece in Britain. Being a tester dive, we stayed fairly shallow for the whole dive, and we didn't really see that much. It was more just about getting comfortable and acclimatising to the water. I was still absolutely shocked though at how much these corals attract fish. I mean, look at this one individual coral, there's hundreds of fish all over it. Let's move on to the next dive. We had our surface interval, a little bit of lunch, and then it was a fairly quick trip over to Middle Garden. Middle Garden was another tester dive, a fairly shallow reef where we could just acclimatise and get ourselves used to the Red Sea water. The best thing about Middle Garden perhaps is just the range of corals. There's so many different species all brought together in one huge community. I mean, look at this big kind of lump on screen now. There's just hundreds and hundreds of different corals surrounded by hundreds of fish. It was genuinely amazing to see. This was also the first dive of the trip where we really got to see some of that amazing sea life that we came for. The one thing I also noticed is that the fish on this dive were really used to humans being around them. They clearly had divers in the water quite frequently. This triggerfish was really chill with us, just a couple of meters away from it. This was the first pair of clownfish that we saw on the trip. This was really cool, as they're obviously such an iconic animal. It was just amazing to see. This Moorish idol was lurking in a cave, just checking us out, watching from a distance. Check out the stunning purple colours of that coral right in the middle of the screen. I think this is either a really small sea slug or some species of a nudibranch. If you have any idea, drop it in the comments because I've got no clue at all. This was number one of many moray eels that we saw on this trip. Being the first one we'd seen, we decided not to get too close to it and just admire it from a distance. They're a lot bigger and a lot scarier in real life. Unfortunately, as you can see, a lot of the corals are pale white and they've clearly been affected by coral bleaching. Hopefully we can reverse the effects and save these reefs, as they genuinely are stunning, but it is heartbreaking to see just layers and layers of white reef. As we came towards the end of the dive, it became a little more sandy and these sort of islands of coral would appear out of nowhere with a few meters between them. As we were doing our 3-minute 6-meter safety stop, this shadow appeared out of the blue and a blue spotted stingray headed towards us and swam right beneath us. Unfortunately, because we were on our safety stop, we couldn't go down and film it anymore, but it was amazing to admire from quite a distance. That concluded our first day of diving. It really was just a tester day, and we were promised that it would get better from here with more challenging and complex diving. So that was it. We headed back to shore, and then the next day we headed out again, and our first dive site of the day was Ras Zat'Ar. Ras Zat'Ar was a fairly deep wall dive with opportunity to go down to about 30 meters if you're qualified. Lots of different fish and corals to look out for. The first thing I noticed about this dive, that even though there was white bleached coral, there was a lot less of it, there was a lot more colour in the coral. I thought the formations on this coral were really beautiful. The colours of it sort of gave a purpley green vibe too. The small orange fish you can see on screen now and throughout this video are antheas, and they're really cool fish. They're good indicators of current, as they like to swim into the current, showing the direction of it. Honestly, the amount of these antheas about was incomprehensible. If you looked down, you could see hundreds and thousands of them. They were absolutely everywhere, covering the coral. This was moray eel number 2 of the trip, slightly smaller than the last one, so we were a little bit braver and got the tiniest bit closer to it. Thousands and thousands of small fry absolutely covered this one section of coral. It was the only time I saw them on the trip. Does anybody have any idea what they are? And that was it from Ras Zat'Ar. It was an amazing little wall dive that was really focused on looking at those colourful corals that were a lot less white than we'd seen on previous days. Again, we had a surface interval and another short trip over to our next dive site, which was Shark and Yolanda Reef, which I know is a fairly famous dive site. As you can probably tell by the name, Shark and Yolanda Reef is really good for its sharks, but there was lots more to it. There was lots of anemones on show, lots of fan corals, and of course the wreck of the Yolanda, which wrecked just on the side of the reef. Moray eel number 3 of the trip here, and you can tell we're getting a little bit more brave. We're getting closer to it, and we can see its facial features this time before it slithers away. Just look at how many fish there are. They go on for absolutely miles. There was something really eerie about looking down and seeing fish and nothing but blue. It was like it went on for absolutely miles and you didn't know what was down there. I don't think this time that these guys are Moorish idols. I think these might be schooling bannerfish instead. It amazes me some of the colours these fish have. This yellowtail parrotfish was just beautiful. This black-sided hawkfish has perfect camouflage. The whites, browns and yellows blend in with the corals perfectly. It was amazing to see the corals on the wall and look how they banded together in layers. All the different species were living together perfectly in one big community. Moray eel number 4 of the trip now, and this one was absolutely massive. What you're looking at now is just the body. It was easily over 2 meters long. This was the closest we were able to get so far to one of these Arabian angelfish. Most of them swam away when you got even close to them, but this one was really chill, allowing us to get some amazing footage. We finished the dive with a quick look at the wreck of the Yolanda. The Yolanda was a cargo ship that was sank in 1980, and it's been a popular dive site ever since. It's really famous as the cargo ship was carrying toilets which sit around the wreck. Unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to see them. And that concludes episode 1 of my Red Sea diving trip.
Thanks so much for watching episode 1 of my Red Sea diving trip. If you enjoyed the video, leave us a like, it really helps us out. Let us know in the comments if you've been to the Red Sea before, where did you dive and what did you see? And subscribe to Naturescope and turn that bell notification on to not miss any more future episodes. I have 2 more scuba diving episodes coming up, as well as a bonus snorkeling video. I've already got the SS Thistlegorm video out. That's one of the best wrecks in the world to dive, and it's in Egypt in the Red Sea, so check that one out. I'll leave a link in the description as well as at the top of the screen. And all that's left for me to say is thanks so much for watching again, and I'll see you next time.